Ahoy and welcome to the first ever Daily-Lumber Spoilercast. I guess that's what we'll call it.
hmm
Um, I'm Daily Beaton, joined by Sir Lumber, and today we're going to be talking about Resident Evil 8 Village, or
Or
the 8,
Village 8.
Village 8, as you can see
Eightilage.
by the very
Resident Evil
cool
Eightilage.
Roman numerals in the logo. Um,
Yes. Hidden quite nicely.
why don't you give me a quick background on your Resident Evil history, or
Uh,
lack
so,
thereof?
yeah, well, emphasis on that, lack thereof. Basically non existent. So, I may have mentioned before that I've never played a Resident Evil game before, but I've watched playthroughs of several of them. I've watched 2 remake, 3 remake, 7, uh, probably the first game as well, or the original Final Fantasy. I got Final Fantasy on the brain. The original
Still
Resident
got a week.
Evil.
You still got a
Uh,
week.
I gotta wait. I gotta hold out. But yeah, so I've watched probably 4 or 5 of the Resident Evil games like playthroughs on YouTube, but never played one myself. Survival horror has not really ever been my thing, but I think it's fun to watch people play it. It's like watching a scary movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is my first Resident Evil, and unless I think of something else, this is probably my first true survival horror game. That I played through, you know, completely myself. So
Nice.
yeah. What about you?
I'm pretty close to the same. A little bit different. I haven't watched any playthroughs of 2 remake or 3 anything like that. I have
Yeah,
played 7. I played it with some friends. We played it in like one sitting, or maybe 2
yeah,
sittings. A short amount of time.
yeah,
Um, and that's my only Resident Evil gameplay experience. But then as far as survival horror goes, I've also played like Outlast. I played that with friends
yeah,
as well. Um, And I'm not super big on survival horror. It's not that like I'm not trying to say like I'm a tough guy. I'm not afraid of
You're a
them,
scaredy cat.
or a scaredy cat or anything. But I just never really felt the desire. They kind of
No,
skipped me early on.
yeah,
Um, I never got really into the series, but it's
yeah,
always been like in the back of my mind. Like eventually I'll go play those kind of thing.
yeah. I guess for me with survival horror, I don't like not feeling like I'm in control because there are
Yeah,
games that may be really difficult, like the Dark Souls games and stuff like that, where they're difficult, but I get there you go. Oh,
yeah.
much better
Sorry,
lighting.
the light was in my
I
eyes.
like the cascade of light on you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think with survival horrors, it's a different kind of difficult. Like
Yeah,
you're being chased a lot, and you have very limited resources, and it's just not the how I like to play games. I like to rely on my own skill rather than different boundaries that the game like restricts me with.
yeah,
Um, but even with that, I went into this one full steam ahead on casual mode, so
yeah,
it was a good time.
yeah. And it's funny because if there were a Resident Evil game to jump into for someone who's not big into survival horror, this is almost, I would argue it's almost an action game, like the second half of the
Yeah,
game.
yeah, for
It
sure.
like starts with survival horror, and then eventually it's basically an action, like an action
Right.
action shooter, first
Yeah,
person shooter.
you end up with it just kind of snowballs. You have a bunch of weapons and a bunch of ammo if you've been smart, I guess.
Yeah,
Probably the higher difficulties are more difficult. They're more restrictive and less ammo and stuff like that. But with normal and casual, certainly,
yeah,
yeah, it kind of snowballs into just an action game. You're just shooting everything you
exactly.
see.
And so like you said you played on casual. I played on normal, and the ammo is not scarce at all on those
Yeah, yeah,
difficulties. It's
yeah.
everywhere. So
That was the
maybe
reason why I played casual because I thought just based on what I had seen about Resident Evil 7, it was reasonably scarce like
yeah,
on the normal difficulty. So I was like, I don't really want to deal with that. I just want to experience the story and just not to worry about conserving stuff. Just kind of blaze through it.
yeah,
So, but yeah, I probably could have played on normal.
yeah. I think you could have very easily played on normal. Normal was still pretty easy. Um,
Yeah.
I don't think I ever. I only died in like sections that weren't like combat related. Like I messed up a couple like some
Yes.
goofy stuff
Yes.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it's very forgiving, and I always had enough health, more than enough health
Right.
items to
Right. Yeah.
recover.
Honestly, I could probably count like on maybe 2 hands how many times I actually healed. Like,
Yeah.
and that's probably a benefit of casual mode.
Yeah, it definitely
But
is.
yeah, I had plenty of heals, and like,
Yep.
you know, I guess I wasn't taking that much damage either. So I imagine it was probably a little bit step up, you know, for the standard difficulty. But they gave you, you know, lots of either materials or just straight up gave you the healing items without having to make them,
Yeah.
pretty like, you know, consistently. So
Yeah. Let's just I figure we'll just jump straight into the story and walk our way through this and talk
yep.
through each section.
Yeah, and if we haven't said it already, spoilers.
Yeah, full spoilers
for the discussion ahead.
We might
We're
hop
diving full
around
in.
as it goes, and we might randomly just talk about the end of the game somewhere in there. Who knows what we'll do? But yeah, everything from if it wasn't clear enough, we're going to say everything in our mind.
Yeah, we want to talk about the story in detail and our thoughts and everything.
So you start off, presumably, relatively soon after the ending of 7, you're like set up in a house that I guess Chris Redfield set you up in, huh? He put you in
with it, I believe he sets up Ethan and Mia.
Yep.
Ethan's the obviously the main character, and Mia and this newborn baby that they have in like I think it's like somewhere in Eastern Europe.
I think it's kind of close to. A lot of people, like I said, I'm not big into the Resident Evil lore.
Yeah.
But some people are like speculating that you might be near where Resident Evil 4 takes place, which is I believe in Eastern Europe.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, you're like somewhere in Europe, and
yeah,
you're just like having a normal day. She's like making dinner.
Was Resident Evil 4 not in Spain? I thought that was in Spain. There's one game that was in.
It's in whether it's in Europe somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah,
I guess Spain is Western Europe. But either way.
Yeah.
Who knows? That shows my lack of knowledge on the other games.
Well, same here.
So you're just having like a normal day. It's like kind of teaching you how to like look around, like the generic like beginning of game control stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
And then that boy Chris Redfield shows up and just caps Mia like repeatedly.
No mercy.
Just
no mercy.
And they showed that in the trailer, and everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like,
and you can gain from that. It's like, okay, it's probably not what it seems on the surface. Like, so.
I can't believe he'd do that. No.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a little bit, but that's how it starts, and it was a good start. Very surprising, I guess. And then you get captured, and Ethan's very confused. He's he confused as the player is supposed to be, I guess.
Yep.
And then we get into what was my least favorite part of the game.
Because it was stressful.
Your truck crashes in the dark, snowy woods. And that's fine. I get they're trying to build tension there. You're walking through the dark and stuff.
Yeah.
You get up.
They did well.
You get up and everyone's gone. Rose is gone. Chris is gone. Everyone's gone. Ethan's there.
Like there's some dead guys too.
Some dead guys.
So, yeah.
And I didn't like this section, not because it was creating is a stressful situation, but because your flashlight was awful. You only saw like 2 foot in front of you.
Yeah.
And I was just like confused where I was going the whole time.
Yeah.
You eventually wander in like a little shack. You do a little section in there. I think some lichens show up.
Eventually, when they do, it kicks off big time.
Yeah.
And then, because you're walking through it, they set the tone really well because despite I guess they probably did that for a reason, the flashlight thing.
Yeah.
But you're walking through the forest, then you get into like very dark houses. You're hearing noises and like stuff's crashing, but you're not seeing anything yet.
Yeah.
You're just hearing a bunch of stuff. So it's definitely built good tension.
So at this point of the game, I wasn't super stoked because, like I said, like not that I'm like against straight up horror games, but it's not what I personally want to play.
No, me either.
At that point, that's what it seemed like it was going to be, just like dark tension building, stuff. And then you were pretty quickly shown that wasn't going to be the case because you get out of that little shack and it's like now it's like morning time apparently. It's like the sun has come flown up, and you enter the village. And this is Resident Evil Village. The village ended up being like my favorite part of the game. But I didn't know that on my first visit to the village, because the first visit to the village is basically your one of the demos.
Right.
You go. I guess the demo picks up after this opening. You get into the village as an opening like lichen fight, basically.
Yeah, well, a like and chase, like and fight.
and
You have to
chase.
really strategize with what you're doing, and like they start introducing the mechanic of like throwing stuff in front of doors, and
Yeah.
just generally running away. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That section was fun on normal. I've since tried just to get. I tried to play Village of Shadows on New Game Plus. That's
yeah,
hard on Village of
yeah,
Shadows. I still haven't
yeah,
completely gotten through it. I think
yeah,
I've gotten close, but you go through this lichen fight, and this Big Daddy lichen jumps from a mountain or something. I don't know
yep.
where the hell he comes from.
He comes from somewhere.
Somewhere,
Yeah,
and he throws you into a cutscene, and then he just leaves, and you're like,
yep.
what? You know?
They hear like some sound in the distance or something. Like they all look up and then they like run away.
Yeah,
So
they just oh, we'll just leave him here.
yeah, yep,
And then you start. I think that's where the demo basically picks up.
yeah.
You're like in the actual like in the village, like village
Right.
proper at this point.
And Ethan starts to get his bearings, and he sees a castle in the distance, and he's like, okay, I'm looking for Rose. She may not be here. I bet she's over there. Like that's a big important place.
You find
something weird's
the
going
witch
on.
lady, the
Yes. The hag, like whatever you want to call her.
yeah, the hag. You explore the village a little bit. You hear I think you hear on a radio to get to a house.
Yeah.
So that's your objective.
Survivors are gathering there.
Yeah. So you head there. You meet some people who I thought maybe would be important characters for at least an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe 10 minutes.
Right.
I didn't even feel the need to name those characters. I forgot their names already, but
I mean, just Louisa was the main person there. Yeah. Everyone else was like that was her house. That's the one I remember. But everyone else, they were just no names basically.
Yeah, and then you what's it the girl you find her like dad.
You run into a girl and her father who's injured, and then you end up getting into Louisa's house by doing some stuff. And that's like I said, there's like a very few amount of survivors in that house. And then all heck breaks loose.
Yeah, and the house
in the house
burns down. Then you're like, yeah, that sucked because Ethan's super cheesy. It's so funny. The stuff
he's like, oh man, why is this happening again? It's like, it's because you're in a video game, man. Get used to it.
So I personally, I kind of bolted through this section because I'd already experienced it. I was trying to get to the castle, and that's when I feel like the castle follows this section. That's when I feel like I really started to get into it and care about this game. You start to approach the castle and you meet the Duke, who is your
Duke.
He's your merchant.
Your merchant. Yep.
And actually no.
Yeah, because you go up. Yeah, you find these stone pieces that let you access this gate, like open the gate, and they're scattered. There's like 2 of them in the village, and one of them you get from Luis's house, I think, or something like that. And then you go up the pathway, and I think it's like past the point of no return to where you can't go back to the village, but you can it's like right in front of the castle. The Duke introduces himself. He busts out of his little cart.
You do something else before this. You do that section where you get captured and you meet the lords in like that.
I think that's after. I think you meet the Duke first, and then you go across the bridge into like the very entrance way to the castle, and you're about to go through a door, and then Heisenberg pops up.
It's definitely before the castle section.
Yes, it's right before. Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the Duke first. My first interaction with the Duke. I'm pretty big for. I love a good progression system in a game, whether it's like a skill tree or just like weapons upgrades. Yeah. And I was hopeful that once I found there was a merchant that would be the case. Yeah. And I ended up being proven correct, or my hopes were fulfilled. I like the progression system of this game. The Duke is funny. I enjoyed buying all of his crap throughout the game and all his little weird quips.
Right.
But I think when you first meet him, I don't know if there's anything super special you can buy from him other than like ammo.
No, you can get like some small upgrades, I think, if you've gotten the money for it.
Which are pretty expensive at that point.
Yeah.
For like not a whole lot of like, one more shot in a magazine, or like you reload slightly faster.
Yeah.
But so you meet the Duke, and then you corrected me. Then you go into the Heisenberg shows up, who ends up being I guess you hadn't seen him at this point, have you?
No, that was the first introduction of him, and it's funny because you had seen footage of him in like trailers and such.
Yeah.
And you'd also seen that big wolf man who you encounter at the end of the Lycan fight. And I think people, I even did this. I was like, I think that I thought they were the
The
same
same
person. It was
person. Like he was like his
yeah,
beast form or something.
his transformed form. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that is not the case. But yeah, so this is the first time you see Heisenberg. And he's got this weird like Magneto-esque ability. He can control metal.
It was pretty cool.
He captures you. So,
yeah, and then he drags you into this. I guess it's like a church. Maybe?
I don't know where they are. They're in some.
It's like
church is a good word
a
for
chapel.
it. Sure.
I don't know, but you meet. So this is at this point of the game. Let me take a step back. Before this point of the game, I thought the castle / Lady Dimitrescu was going to be like the game. I thought that was like she was the main antagonist, and the castle was the main area. But then this section, when Heisenberg gets you, you meet a bunch of other, they call them lords.
Yep.
And at that point,
and a pretty important character with them. You meet
Mother Miranda.
Mother Miranda, and you'd heard whisperings of her in the village, like, and she's like revered as this, like a saint.
I thought she was like literally like a deity or something. I didn't realize she was an actual person.
Yeah.
You meet Mother Miranda and the four lords, and at that point I was like, maybe this game is bigger than I envisioned, or there's more sections.
I knew it was going to be bigger than just the castle because just seeing like what they had shown off probably before Resident Evil 7, it was just like that house, right?
Yeah.
And then the game goes into much different areas.
Yeah.
So I knew like what they were showing was probably just only a small portion of the game, which, there was like several other areas in this game. So.
Yeah. So you go through this section and they're deliberating on what to do with you, I believe. And you're.
Yep.
So you don't know why, but Mother Miranda wants your child Rose, and at this point it's presumed that they have Rose. Now they have you, and I think they hint at you being special in some way at this point, or like you're.
It's pretty vague.
But it's very vague, and like even like I just kind of blew it off, like whatever.
Yeah.
And you make your miraculous escape.
It's like a little sub area. There's like the what do you call it? They set it up to be like you're some kind of gladiator or something. That's how I took it from the trailers. It looked like you were going to be poised to fight in some kind of arena with these Lycans, but it's really just like an escape sequence. Yeah. You're running in a straight line. It really didn't take much thought. You just run.
This is the first and one of the few times I died. It was the end of this when like the meat grinder is like coming towards you. I crouched and I was like looking where to go and I couldn't find the spot.
Luckily, it's because there's a little slot in the wall where you just kind of stand in and it just comes right up to your face, but it doesn't get you. Luckily, I was able to see that.
That was fun. And then they just like kind of let you go. I'm assuming they could have pursued you further, but
probably. But it's a video game, so
it is a video game, and you have to keep going.
I closed the door in front of them. We're good.
Even though I'm a man who can walk on the metal I summon around me, but I'll just let them,
exactly. Toying with you.
So, after that, you go to the castle, after you
you should go. There's some kind of probably connecting section where I think it pulls you back around to where you first encounter Heisenberg because you're about to go into the castle and Heisenberg like stops you in her cutscene and he takes
back out.
So I think so. It basically loops you back around to where you were when you met Heisenberg, and then you proceed on into the castle.
So in the castle now, I'm thinking, I wonder how long the castle is even going to be because I smell like other people. And the castle, I would say, castle is still the longest section of the game.
It's probably one of. I think it is comparable to the one of the last sections in the game. Heisenberg's like factory at the end. I think that's a pretty decently length section. But the castle, it probably feels a little bit longer because you're still getting your bearings too. You're figuring out how to you're figuring out the game and exploring, and that is probably my favorite area of the game. I think it's the most interesting. It's that's what drew me to the game in the first place. Was kind of like big grand like gothic architecture with vampires and werewolves. Like that's the kind of feel, the aesthetic that drew me to the game. At first, so I really liked the castle. It was really cool.
It was like one big puzzle. It was like you go here to get this item that'll unlock this door, and you go back around this door.
Right.
I thought there was going to be more Lady Dimitrescu up front. But she's kind of like hanging out, like not.
She's kind of towards the end of the castle.
She's not really
section.
worrying about you for a while.
Right.
What your first real? Well, actually, I guess it's not completely true. They do capture you and hang you up, in the
Yes.
castle.
By your hands.
By your hands, like hooked
Yeah.
up into the
Yeah.
awful.
You see all the funny stuff that people were saying about how Capcom just does not like Ethan.
No, does not like Ethan's hands.
Because we didn't mention in the first lichen fight in the village, like his first encounter with one of those lichens, it
bite your
bites
hand.
half his hand off.
Yeah.
Like it's like crazy, man. Like instantly,
You
like
know, it's
he's
funny.
screwed.
People were talking about this, and the reason they probably did this was you're in a first-person shooter. That's what you see all the time.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
they like blew your leg
yeah,
off, or like you would never.
Yeah.
It would
Get some big gash across your chest, like you will never see it.
So their hands is like your character. Like that's what they
Yeah,
always
That's true. That's
interact
true.
with.
Yeah. But I still like. There's been other first-person, shooters, first-person horror games that like I feel like I've seen. They really beat the crap out of his hands, like in this game, like big time. Yeah.
So they hang you up. It's you meet Lady Dimitrescu.
Yeah. So somehow you encounter probably one of the daughters, or maybe two of them, I think, that capture you and like drag you to her in some other room, and they hang you up, and she does some vampire stuff to you, and you get some more exposition developed.
She gets she eats your blood or drinks your blood in some way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting little tidbit about something she says there that connects to something that happens at the end of the game.
Yeah.
She notes that his blood she says it's going stale or something like that. Which is, we'll talk about that later, but what is revealed. But yeah, it's pretty interesting.
And you meet the daughters, and you meet her, and then they leave you hanging up, and then you have an awful scene where you let these hooks like rip through the webbing of your hand.
You just like, let me just like tear it down. Like, that's rough, man.
This was another interesting section because this was like, you played the Maiden demo, yeah?
Yeah.
The Maiden demo was almost like a reverse of this. In a way,
right.
like it was like
it starts you off in like the dungeons, and you go back up to the castle. And this one, you end up going down to the dungeons from the like main level of the castle.
Yeah, so it was. I think it was smart. It like showed you the castle without spoiling it for you, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Yep.
So yeah, you're working your way out of this room, and I think the daughters show up again. You're being chased by the vampire daughter.
Yeah.
And you escape to the dungeons, which I thought was pretty creepy. The dungeons were pretty.
Oh yeah, I mean we're seeing it on screen now. I think in this mercenaries level.
Yeah.
Nice and dark and scary.
And then you're fighting lichens with like claymores and like battle axes for some reason.
They're not even lichens. Like these guys, I don't even know what they are. They're just like some kind of infected weird people.
Yeah.
But undead. Like, but they're not the same lichens that you encounter
I guess they're not
in
the
the
same
village
werewolf people
that are super aggressive. And these guys are just kind of lumbering at you with like a weapon. It's super goofy. Yeah,
it was. They did a good job of. At this point, it's still like a survival horror game. It's still slow and tense.
You have very limited weapons. You may have gotten the shotgun at this point. I don't remember. But you have a pistol.
I think you get the shotgun in the village.
Yeah.
At this point, there's still. It's really slow paced. It's about. Like what's around the corner. I don't know if I can handle another one of these guys. It's real tense.
Yeah.
And then. You go through the dungeons, and you finally get out of there, and you're confronted with the vampire girl again. It's like a little mini chase sequence.
Right, one of the daughters,
One of the daughters, yeah. And then you get some like lore here. You run away from her, and you get to the entrance to the kitchens.
Yeah, it's like the kitchens, the pantry area.
Yeah, you're shooting at her, and nothing's happening because she's like of the swarm of bats or flies,
it's like
whatever
bugs.
she is.
Bugs. And it sets it up as like a boss fight because it's not cutscene anymore. It puts you in control, and it's like you're in this small room, and you're just shooting at it. It's like, nah, nothing's working.
Nothing's working. And then you bust a window out, and I guess just like the outside, or the cold.
It's the cold.
The cold, the cold.
The cold is what does it.
It makes them vulnerable. And then, this was like the aha moment. Like, this is how I'm going to do it. Once they are like weakened in a weakened state here, you can damage them, and they eventually
bullets will connect,
like crystallize and like explode or whatever. That was pretty satisfying, killing the first vampire girl.
Right.
That was a good time. But what you think about when you kill the first vampire girl, you're like, I'm sure Lady Dimitrescu is not going to be happy with this. She's
definitely not. That's exactly what I was thinking.
And it's funny how they play that. Like, you kill her daughter, and then you think she'd come right after you. I think it's after the second one when you really get.
I think so. Yeah.
Then she's like really actually mad at you.
Yeah,
Um,
and it is terrifying.
it is terrifying.
Well, because I think that you end up killing one, and then you may get to. I'm trying to remember where you kill the second one. It's in the part of the castle. It's like the
It's like a library thing.
yeah, or it's like an opera something. It's got like a piano. It's like
Yeah.
it's some kind of like auditorium or something
Yeah.
like that. I think you encounter another one, but you don't. Lady Dimitrescu does not start like chasing you actively until you get that like lore bit where I think right where you like see her through the window,
Yeah.
and she's talking on the phone and stuff. I think they saw that. You see that in the trailers.
Yep.
I think after that is when you.
That's where all those memes are from of her being a Twitch streamer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's good stuff, man. That's so funny. Yeah.
And then you get a real sense of how strong she is. She like grabs that wardrobe and chunks it across the room.
Yeah.
And you're like, I do not want to mess with this woman.
No.
But then you're like, but maybe I'll sneak in here after
Yep.
she leaves, and then she like walks right back in.
She just comes back in.
And she like slams
she was going to the
you
bathroom and she came back.
into the dirt like 10 times.
Yeah,
and then she
like
throws you through
the
floor.
floor.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, Ethan, you're kind of superhuman too, then.
Yeah. Then you're like,
How you
how did
taking
I
it?
survive that? Like,
Yeah.
and then you wake up in, I guess, another form
It
of the
puts
dungeons.
you like, it puts you like right back down in the dungeons, or like, some other dungeon-esque. It's a small. It's not connected to where you were before, I don't think. But it puts you back down there. You fall like however many stories down.
And you like escape from her or whatever.
Well.
And then you go towards this like, I guess it's like a lever to like, I guess I don't know. Open
Yeah,
a
because
gate.
you like search around this little area, and then you're like, oh, okay, here's this lever, and it's going to open this gate, and there's like an elevator. Or
and
something.
then you Ethan once again makes the mistake of using that hand, and then it just gets cut cut by something so sharp that like you see the hand still there, and it slowly does like that effect where it like falls off.
Yeah. Well, his arm just like separates from it.
Yeah, you have like the nub arm. He's like, and he's like, oh my god.
Yeah, and it was the other hand too, because his left hand got bitten in half.
Yeah, so at this
and
point,
then his right hand.
At this point, you're like, you're like this.
Yeah.
And then you see Lady Dimitrescu there. She's like pissed at her like claw hands, like
her fingernails have like
Freddy
extended.
Krueger or like Edward Scissorhand hands.
Yeah.
And then you do like a little mini I thought this was pretty tense, like a little mini. I'm gonna call it a boss fight. It's like an escape sequence.
It's like an escape sequence,
Like a
and
puzzle
you've got
escape
this
sequence?
small room. Yeah, and I think that obviously your understanding is that that's still the way out.
It's still the way out.
She's blocking the way because I think she like throws you like down, and she's now blocking and the exit. You were missing a hand. I think he's literally running around like this with a stump. And then it proceeds to like you have to
The
avoid
first
her
thing you do
in
is
some
you
way.
get your hand. I think it's like retrieve severed hand, and then you do that. And then you pull the lever, and she's like, "I'm not gonna let you get out that way." And then you do like a second section.
You do another
of the
loop.
another loop. And then you actually get away on like an elevator.
Yeah.
And she's like, "If you think you can get away from me, then blah,
the
blah,
classic
blah."
villain thing.
And then you as you're rising up, you later realize you're rising up into the courtyard.
Yeah.
And then Ethan looks at his arm and
his stump.
His stump, and this has been all over. Everyone's seen this.
Yeah.
Looks at his stump, and then he pours the.
Well, he like puts it back on. He's got a stump. He's got his hand.
He puts
it back on.
And he pours like his magical healing alcohol on it, and he's
And
just
it's like, oh, okay.
that was great.
Yes,
I enjoy this.
yes,
And at that
yes.
point, I was like, okay, this game is ridiculous. It's not taking itself seriously at all. Nothing about this is serious, and I was because it joked around. Whenever you use the healing all game, you're just pouring it on your hands, which is
that's how it was in the previous game too.
it's
It's so funny. You just got like slashed across the face, like let me pour it on my arm real quick.
They really
okay, good.
Everything damage and healing is through Ethan's hands. The whole like every time.
Yes.
And at this point, once you get up, I believe that's when she starts being a roaming. Following.
She's a roaming force.
And this is what I don't like in games like this. I'm not big on getting like chased or like if I want to like explore and like I have to leave an area because the big scary monster ladies follow me. I'm not a big fan of that. I avoided her like the plague. I even like heard her say something. I'm like, I'll explore the other area of the castle.
You're like, I don't need anything in there. Well, that makes me remember about the mechanic they use in that game, which I do like. It shows you the map, and like each room is either grayed out if you haven't been in there, but when you enter the room, it'll be either red or blue, and
Yep.
it's red if you haven't found everything in
Yep.
that area, which I do like because that helps you kind of strategize. Okay, I don't need to go over that anymore. I'm done. I'm never going to step foot in that room again. So it's like with her chasing you, you had to be kind of strategic with
Yeah.
what you were doing. Like I want to go over there and see what's in that box, but like, oh, there's a lockpick thing over there. Like, kind of risk reward. It was the whole thing.
So I've
with
got an
that.
interesting question for you here. So I did like that mechanic because
Yeah.
I like to try to get everything, and there's always
Yeah,
that
me
like
too.
thing in the back of my head, like, did I actually get anything, or do I need to like mindlessly waste time looking
Right.
for stuff? So when it told me definitively, there's nothing in here for you to get anymore, you're done. I
Yeah.
did like that. But do you think that makes the game like quote unquote too easy?
The
Like
thing is, I think it depends on
knowing
how
that
well
there's
they hide things
yeah,
sometimes. Because there was some stuff in there, like there's these little crystal things that were like
little
on the
glowy.
wall that you can
Yeah.
barely see, and that would count towards like your completion of the
Yep.
room.
Yep.
Which that in that sense, it was kind of frustrating because it's like I know I have looked everywhere, top to bottom, in this room, and there's just something a little shiny on the wall that I can't see. But like, that's an unimportant resource really
Yeah.
when you think about it, because it's not worth that much. But yeah, um, I don't think it necessarily makes the game too easy because it is survival horror, and there honestly they'd have to, if they didn't do that, they would have to improve how obvious certain things were, because it's with these games, it's like if you don't look directly at something, it's not going to proc the little like
Yeah.
the little symbol like, oh, pick that up.
Yeah.
Like, so it's very, very easy to miss things. So if you at least know there is something else in there, there's still a bit of an exploration to find it. So
Yeah.
I didn't think it trivialized anything.
Yeah, I did like it because, like I said, I'm really bad about like being paranoid if something's in a room and like
Yeah.
just literally just wasting time like hitting the walls
Going in
and
circles.
stuff, doing
Yeah.
nothing. So
Yeah.
it was good. It was a good little like, yeah, you can leave, like keep going.
Yeah.
And it motivated me to try to complete the map and try to get everything
Yeah.
to blue.
Yeah.
Where were we at? She's following us.
Yeah, she's following us, and basically, I think at this point you've killed probably two of the daughters.
I think you killed the second daughter.
Yeah,
And I think you're wanting to find. There's the next to the merchant in the castle.
Yeah.
The Duke. He's in the room where you find him. There's like these like very conspicuous statues.
these statues that have risen up out of the ground.
Yeah, risen
when
out
you,
of the
when
ground.
you get into the castle, it's a very obvious puzzle.
I think he says
You have
something
to-
like, "I don't know what to do with these."
yeah, it's like, okay, well,
Yeah, I'm
I'll
sure
figure
I'll
it
figure
out.
it out.
Yeah,
And so at this point, you're looking for these like I guess they're faces to these.
They're
statues.
masks.
They're masks. Yeah.
yeah,
And this is you're just basically going back and forth to other areas of the castle, looking for these
Yeah.
four masks while trying to avoid Lady Dimitrescu.
yeah.
And I don't know if there is a set order you have to find them in, or if it was
I
like,
doubt it.
or if it was just like a natural.
Well, there may be to an
Kind
extent
of
there might have
pushed
been.
you in a way.
Yeah, the story may have pushed you to certain areas based on kind of the different things that were happening. But I think there was some freedom in what direction you could go in.
Yeah.
But yeah, generally speaking, I think it was kind of linear. Like, okay, because there was a point where you went up to the roof and you
Yep.
found one, and then you came back down, and
Roof
like I
is
said, like
cool.
that, yeah, like that auditorium area, which I remember one moment in particular where Lady Dimitrescu like popped up, and I about
Yeah.
pooped my pants
There you go.
because it was scary.
You know, what part was scary for me was the there's a piano puzzle, and you had to
Oh,
like
yeah, yeah.
play the song on the piano, and I have like a basic understanding from my past and how to read music, so it wasn't
Yeah,
the hardest thing in the world to do. I had to remember
Yeah.
where the keys were, of course, but
yeah,
the whole time I was like trying to like remember. I was like, she's gonna
Yeah.
show up like right now. Like I
Yeah,
know she's right
yeah.
there. I'm like fumbling over the keys, probably just hitting
Yeah.
like dun 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 dun.
yeah. Which is so funny with that puzzle. You bring it up. There was actually no skill needed with
Yeah.
that, because it literally highlights on the screen what note you're pressing. It doesn't. There's no
Penalty?
like consequence for no penalty.
I didn't
for
know that. I
hitting
thought
the
you had
wrong
to get
one.
it in one shot, so I was very. Once I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I was like, this is
Yeah.
a B flat. I know exactly
Yeah.
where B flat is. I'm gonna be very careful and like count the keys. And
Yeah.
then you're like,
Yeah.
it just there's nothing wrong if you just press the wrong.
So you were worried because of the sound it was making that she was going to pop up? Is that what you think something was going to be triggered?
I was thinking you had to do it in one shot. I was rushing myself, but also trying to be like slow enough where I wouldn't mess up. Because
Yeah.
I thought if I got halfway through, it would send me back to the beginning of like the song.
yeah.
So the whole time, every second I took, I was like, she's gonna like pop to that door. I'm gonna be like
Yeah.
sitting here like playing the piano, like looking.
You see, for me, I just like went down the line, like ding, 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 ding. Okay, that one's right. the next
Oh my
one.
god,
Hit the
that's
next
so
one.
dumb.
Yeah, I don't know why they did it that way. Like, if they're gonna include something like that, there should have been like, oh, you find a note or something, like a music sheet that is more clear with like what keys you're supposed to press, like something that involved a little bit more exploration. So it's not just literally like, oh, just
Read a sheet
press
of music.
buttons until I get it right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
That was one of a few puzzles in the castle. I think the other two ones that stick out to me, there's the one with the statues. You have to rotate the statues in like the pool of like
Oh yeah,
wine
of
and
blood.
or blood. Whatever,
I was
whatever.
gonna say it's blood, but
Yeah. Well, it's like
yeah.
the castle, like the Demetresque. It's like they're like a
Her
wine.
family.
Her family like makes
Yes.
wine.
Yeah.
And you find out that like their like best bottle is like
Right.
is like presumably blood.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was a not. I think that puzzle. I think if you just go in order around the room and like turn the statues once, it like works. It's so
like
goofy.
turn the Lord away from the.
Oh yeah, there's like some kind of like brain teaser that goes along with it,
Yeah,
like what
it's like
direction they're supposed to be facing.
It's like like poor villagers, a lord, like a woman, and
Yeah.
something. I forget the fourth one.
Someone else.
And it's like the Lord doesn't look at the poor villagers, but the lady looks. It's like okay.
It's like all right. I read it once and I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stuff.
Yeah.
And then it worked. Yeah.
And then I guess the third puzzle. This one was the one I got stuck on the longest. You go into a room. This is right before you get the sniper rifle. You go into a room. It's like five. It's like a bell. It's like light the 5 bells of this room. You're like, psh,
yeah.
okay.
Well, basically, like you need to shoot these different sized bells that are hidden around the room, and they light a fire above them after you shoot them.
And you find 4 of them in 6 seconds.
Yeah.
And then there's like one of it's swinging. You got to hit the time your shot. Oh yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And I was sitting there probably for like 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes.
It
I
took me a little while
I could
too.
not find this bell. And I just like, I like look up at the window outside. There's one like in the distance. Like, I thought that was
out, like not in the room. It's like outside.
Yeah, like way out there.
else.
Like if you're standing like a certain part of the stairs, you can see it.
Yeah.
And then
that is exactly how it happened for me too. I was just like, I feel like I'd exhausted all my options in the room. I just like turned, like, oh, it's just right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was cool. And then you go up in the attic and you get your sniper, and I was like, let's go. We got a sniper rifle.
Yeah. Honestly, that gun was probably one of the ones I used the least in the game because I feel like it.
I did end up using it a lot. I used it like a sniper. Before I'd enter an area, I would pick off some lichens.
Yeah. I did do that for sure.
I used it a lot. We'll get to the later sections of the game, obviously later. But when I was low on ammo in some later sections, I would just like barrel stuff them, which is pretty funny. That was fun. But that was like, I guess, your third weapon. You have the pistol, the shotgun, and then you get the sniper rifle.
Yeah, sounds about right. And then now you're full into the resource and like inventory management. How you organize your stuff.
What you're going to spend it on.
Your briefcase. I like to imagine Ethan just with his one hand, he's just carrying out a briefcase.
The 2 fingers that he's left in his hands holding a briefcase.
He's just carrying out a briefcase.
Well, yes, that's a good question.
That's how it's shaped.
You have a briefcase, but like I know video games are video games, so I'm not going to rag on it too much. But like, is he just carrying a briefcase with him on his back? Like
for sure. That's definitely what he's
doing. If it was a backpack.
Yeah.
That would like.
It doesn't go with the aesthetic.
He has his magical backpack. He stuffs everything in. Sure. Well, I'm not going to question it.
Yeah.
But a briefcase? You have to hold a briefcase. Is it tied to like a rope around his waist?
It's like hanging on his belt loop.
Yeah, his belt loop. You got a briefcase.
Yeah.
So while we're on that, real quick, I do appreciate that the inventory management. It's almost like a little mini puzzle in itself. It's
for sure.
It's like you don't get to just like have unlimited stuff. You have to like organize your weapons and things in a briefcase. Your briefcase of fish and meat and a sniper rifle.
And just hundreds of bullets.
Hundreds of bullets, a fern, nice herb.
Nice herb. Even though there were some stuff like that, like those kind of resources that you use to craft things, those did not take up space. Yeah. Which I appreciated that. So.
Yeah, that was fun. I like that. And then you can buy the bigger briefcase from the Duke later.
Yeah, the briefcase upgrade.
Yeah.
I imagine he's giving you just like an amount of like leather and stuff. Like, here, build a bigger briefcase.
Build a bigger briefcase.
Put it like it's an addition to your house. Just add a section to your briefcase.
Yeah. So let's see. We're still in the castle. you eventually find these masks through various ways. You kill the last vampire daughter, yada yada. Now Lady Demetress is mad, but you're like, I gotta put these masks on their statues.
Yep,
and then
because
you're
it's
like,
basically it's set up to where there's these 4 statues, and that's like the exit out of the castle.
yeah,
or
this
something
the
like
exit
that.
that's locked behind these masks.
Whatever.
Because it's
like,
a
is that how
video game.
Lady Demetress gets out of her
That's
house
how. Yeah,
every day?
she has to go around and yeah.
She has to go $5 masks and put them on the statues. Yeah.
And this is a weird part of the game. You escape, and you get to like another room outside of the castle,
Yeah.
and you find like this
It's like a dagger.
like a ceremonial dagger.
Yeah.
And Lady Demetress shows up behind you. You kind of a struggle. You stab her.
Yeah.
And then I think she knocks the dagger off the building. And I was like, okay, I need to get that dagger to kill her. I don't think you ever see that dagger ever again.
No, and it's weird, and I can't remember exactly when it presents this to you, and it may be something you can miss, but there's some bit of lore you get about like how to kill her and like how she's like invulnerable basically, and there's like, oh, there's this poison that was made and blah blah blah, and it's like, okay, I presume that was like on the dagger or something like that. Like otherwise, what was that dagger for? Like why?
I thought it was going to be something. I was going to play the whole game, get this dagger, and finally be able to kill her. No, the dagger's gone.
Yeah.
It was like, and then,
nope. It's literally just a cutscene. You pick it up, she grabs you, you turn around, stab her, she gets really mad and like knocks you out a window, and then proceeds to fight the bigger like monster that
this
she
is
becomes.
your first true boss fight. It's her. It's like
if you don't count the daughters, but yeah,
like little mini bosses. Mini bosses of a Zelda dungeon.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I don't know what you would call her. It's like her on top of a big beast that's like 4-legged.
It's like this big nasty dragon monster,
it's
but
like almost her
her torso up is like on its back.
She's a very strange centaur.
Yes.
And she's like kind of like, it's kind of a simple boss fight. She's like following you around the ring of the tower you're on, then she flies away, and then you snipe her a little bit.
You just shoot her. Just shoot her. That's all. That's the whole thing.
It was pretty simple. And then you fall through the ceiling again, and you're like, wow, I just landed from a 10-story fall. Good thing I'm alive.
Good thing I'm okay.
And then you kill her, and at that point I was pretty surprised. I didn't think she was gonna be like the first thing you kill in that game.
Right. I think that was everyone's reaction, and I guess it's unfortunate because of what like the memes that came from her when they first revealed. Everyone thought like that she was going to be this like the central villain of this thing, but no, it turns out there's a lot more.
I would still argue she's still like maybe
she's pretty important.
Maybe the most prominent in like across the whole game. I guess you deal with her the most, maybe.
Kind of, yeah. I mean,
it's kind of a tie, but like
honestly, it is kind of a tie with, I would say, with Heisenberg. But,
with her and Heisenberg. And then when she escaped the castle, you go back into the village. You get a lore dump from the old hag again. You get the key. And this was surprising. You don't ever go back to the castle again.
And don't forget, at the end of the boss fight with Lady Demetress, you're in like this room, and you find like basically a vial or like a container, and you don't know what the heck it is.
Your orange goop in a jar.
Orange goop. Yes, in a jar.
Yeah, so you get your orange goop jar. You bring that. You're like, oh, I'll bring this for some reason.
Yeah, I'll take this. This looks important.
Yeah, this looks important. That was a good point. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Why
it says like head on it or something, and it looks like ceremonial and like some weird thing, and it says head on your head. So yeah, I guess it's a video game.
Yeah, it's true.
Ethan found it to be important, so he took it with him.
You get your lore dump with the old hag. You get your key, and they kind of explain the 4 lords to you. You look at like some tapestry on the wall. Yeah, it's like the 4 houses, and then in the middle there's like a logo. Ethan's like, that looks familiar. It's the umbrella logo.
Right.
Which is pretty funny. Tangent real quick. This morning at breakfast, I saw a Jeep with an umbrella logo on the side of it, like a regular Jeep with like
big fan.
On both sides had the Umbrella Corp logo. I thought it was pretty.
Either he's a big fan or
things got
something
bad.
is.
Something has gone awry.
Things just got bad.
Yeah. So you get back into the what looked like to be a big boss arena, there's like these like like these big statues overlooking
Yeah.
like a big
Yep.
circular room. Like, okay, I'm fighting
Yep.
another boss here.
Yep.
No, it just like you look at the ground, see another umbrella logo, and you're like,
Yep.
whoa, that
And
looks
you just
familiar
proceed
again.
on.
And you go
Yeah.
out into the courtyard, and the Duke's there, and the Duke's like,
Yeah.
"Hey, how you doing? I see you found Rose," and
Yeah.
you're like, "What?"
What?
Because the whole time you're in there looking for your daughter, who you
Right. And you're like,
presumed
okay, she's
was
not
in
here.
there,
I'll go check somewhere else.
and then you find out that this vial is like Rose's head. Is it like I don't
Yeah.
understand. I don't need to
It's like
understand
it's like
what.
a piece of her essence. Like
Yeah,
it's I don't know what they did to her to put her in that
no
form.
idea.
I don't get it.
I don't need to know either.
Yeah.
But then you get like the big motivation of the game at this point, and
Yeah.
basically, Duke's telling you you're going to go and find the other three parts of her in like the other three lords'
Yeah.
domains. They all have a piece of
Yep. Yep.
Rose.
And you're getting hints that like your daughter has like this power, some
Yeah.
kind of power abilities, whatever. And
Yeah.
Ethan's like, no, what?
It's just some
Get
random
my
baby.
daughter.
Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, you get your big motivation, and you get to explore the village a little more in this point. I don't think there's
Yeah.
a whole lot to actually explore in the village at this point. I mean,
No, you go back in there, and
you
I
go
think
back
that
in
there's
there.
some like new enemies that appear.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think after that you directly like the next thing that you have to figure out is like, okay, I think is it the Duke that introduces like, okay, the four lords are here. And
He
your
marks
map
them on your
changes.
map. He marks them on your
Yeah,
map.
and
Yep.
yeah, and so you're like, okay, I gotta go deal with these people.
Yeah.
And it's not like open world like Breath of the Wild style. Go to
Yeah.
any divine beast that you want.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what happens, but yeah, you end
The
up
key,
directing
your
towards
key
one.
opens one gate, and
Oh,
then you
that's what
get
it is.
like
That's what it
the
is.
other parts of the keys that open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you start building this key with like its weird little baby thing in the middle, and it's got wings. So
Yep.
and it opens whatever door it matches, but you have to keep building it up to be able to do that.
I actually
So.
have the steel book around. I'll grab it. Real
Yeah,
quick.
it's back here somewhere. Yeah.
You have this strange symbol on the key here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Which-
you don't understand what that is, but I guess you could presume that maybe that strange baby in some way is Rose. In some
It's either
way.
Rose or it's that other thing. I now can't remember what it's called, but it's the thing that, and I'm jumping ahead here, but there's that like parasite thing.
Yeah.
That is, I think it's that.
The moss
So,
or whatever.
yeah, it's something. It starts with a C. It's like Cadeau or something. It's like this weird parasite thing. Cadu, yeah.
CADOU or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But either way, the next place
Strange
you go,
either way.
next place you go is House Beneviento.
Beneviento. Yeah.
Beneviento. You go through like a little like woodsy section. You fight some lichens. Nothing.
Yeah.
Basically, just like filler to get you to the next area. They didn't want to just give it to you.
Yeah.
You show up on like this like cliff face, and there's like a house, and you're like, there's definitely going to be some scary stuff in that house.
Yep. It did not disappoint in that regard.
You get to this house, and it's a doll house. Like, oh, here we go. So it's like,
yeah.
d-
And this
creepy-
is, keep in mind, we've already been introduced to, like, who the lords are. So you know that this person's like some lady with like a doll, like that
Yeah.
she controls or something.
Yeah,
Weird.
it's like
So,
a magical doll lady, and you're like, that does
Yeah.
not sound like it's going to be a fun time.
yeah.
And you get like, I don't know if you say captured. You go down an elevator into like a strange
Yeah.
part of the mansion. It's
Yeah.
like a, I don't know, like a. I
It's a
don't know,
basement.
A basement, but like,
I don't know, it's like an operating room. It's
Yeah,
really
it's-
weird.
yeah.
And there's like a photo room. It's like a whole separate level of the house.
yeah, and
So
they Eventide Island you. They take all your stuff
yeah,
away.
they do take all your stuff.
I
Yeah,
thought
that's
that was
true.
a good change of pace because it almost made this section like its own little like mini game within a game. It's like
Yeah.
it was a whole different genre almost. It was like a
Right, because it was like it went from survival hard like action like shooting things and all that stuff to like, okay, this is in my mind it was like, okay, this is pure puzzle time.
yeah.
I need to
pure
be like
puzzle.
thinking and like figuring out keys and looking around and solving stuff. So
And
that's what I went into.
you find a life-size mannequin of Mia
Yeah.
on the table, and you have to like move her around all awkwardly, try to find
And
her
like
parts.
you
of
take
her.
off her finger, or you like look in her eyeball and her
Yeah.
mouth, like get like these different clues of like how to access like areas in this basement.
Yeah, and you're
Onward.
doing this little stuff trying to escape or escape the basement, playing the little game with the doll is set up
Yeah,
for you,
yeah.
and then at
The
some
lights go
point
out,
the lights go out. I don't know
and then
what
things get real.
you hear, like a sopping wet like slap,
Oh God.
and
Oh God.
this
Well, yeah, because like the lights go out, and then you're like, okay. I guess I think that we don't have to go through every little piece of the puzzle, but like you're like, okay, I think I can proceed out now. I need to get back up. Like I
yeah
need to go out. It's okay, so I'll head back.
there's like a
And
red emergency light lighting up this doorway, and this like unborn mess of a monster thing sopping wet, disgusting.
I'm getting chills thinking about it. It was
It
awful.
like screams like this blood curdling like
Yeah,
baby
yeah.
cry, and it's
For
like
those who want to see it, just go Google it.
yeah,
It's
it was
awful.
it was it was, it was that was rough. And then you're playing like, okay, so now I have to avoid this thing in the dark,
Yeah,
scary
yeah.
hallway.
Basically, yeah, it busts through the door and it starts chasing you, and you don't have any weapons,
Nope.
nothing. Yeah, and throughout this whole thing, Ethan is having like flashbacks or like he's getting like dialogue from like he's like hallucinating is what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
so and then this thing pops up. So
And you go through this like house, and I'm just like running. I'm not looking at anything.
yeah,
And you get to like a bedroom, and basically a dead end.
yeah.
And where did you hide in the bedroom? Because apparently there's
I
multiple
hid
spots.
I hid under the bed. I think there was you could hide in the closet.
Yeah, I hid in the
too, or
closet.
something.
I hid in the closet.
Now,
And,
what happened when you did that? I thought I heard something about. Does it find you?
it like looks in there, and then
Oh my god.
um, so I think with a bed. So if you're under the bed, did it go around the bed, then you ran back out?
Yes. Yes.
So it like stopped in front of the thing. I was like, I'm just gonna go for it, and like I literally just ran by it, like just like
Because I think that thing is like it's like an insta kill. Like if it grabs
yeah,
you, you're dead.
yeah. So I never died to it, but I touched
Yeah,
it
neither
for
did
sure. I rubbed up
Yeah.
against it. I got the slime in my arm. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that thing
Oh my god.
freaked me the hell
You
out.
just let it come right up next to you. Like I'm gonna go for it.
Well, I was backed into. He was standing in front of it. I was like, I don't know what.
Was it just like? Do you think you could have stayed in there long enough to where it would have left, or was it just
I
there?
I was like, I think I messed up. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, you run away from this thing, and I
Yeah.
don't even know. Do you just escape? You find other rooms. Do you keep entering and leaving?
So yeah, what's happening is that you get back to like the elevator that you had taken down, but like you have to find fuses in
yeah,
the box.
yeah,
And so that's the whole thing. The loop that you're doing is trying to find fuses and then leave again and go back and forth.
I think you
Yeah,
get
by
to the
this
elevator,
point-
and it's like coming at the elevator, you're like, ah!
Yeah,
It's like when
yeah.
someone's come at you on an elevator, and you're like, kind of just hitting
Yeah.
the up button, just
Yeah,
like
just
closed door
close,
button.
close door, close door.
But except this time, it's a sopping wet fetus monster.
Oh God,
And
it was horrible.
Yeah.
That was by far the scariest thing in the
Yeah,
game. So like, no questions.
yeah, and then you
Terrifying.
get to the top of the elevator, and it's like, oh, now I get to deal with just the doll lady again.
Yeah.
This is a weird section. It was like, there was
Yeah.
like the doll, like the one
Yeah.
that she, like,
Yeah,
moved around.
it has a name.
I forgot the name. What's the
Is Angie.
Angie? Oh, that's funny. Um,
Yeah.
So yeah, you have Angie the doll, and it you play like hide and seek, I guess, like a time
Yeah,
game
like
of hide
you
and
come
seek.
up back, into the main house, and you see her. I think her name's Donna Beneviento.
Yeah.
is the lady's name. She has her doll,
Donna.
and then basically, yeah, just a normal name. But you start on this like find it, hide and seek situation where you're trying to find the doll, and then the other regular looking dolls like,
And-
attacking you.
And understandably, every time Ethan gets his hands on this doll, he like beats it into the floor. Like he's like, I'm
Yeah.
going to destroy this doll.
Yeah,
And it has like the classic like, takes 3 hits to kill me video game
Yeah.
boss.
yeah. Find it once, and then it like disappears. And you find it again, and yeah, rinse and repeat.
And then I can't remember. I think when you kill it or like kill it, then he like wakes up and then she's
Yeah.
there the whole time.
Yeah.
So maybe
Yeah.
presumably
it was
she,
basically her. Yeah.
maybe she was there the whole time, and she was just
Yeah.
like clouding his mind and his judgment.
Yeah, so I think her power. I read about this. She can like, she has some weird things she controls with plants,
Yeah.
and they can like, I guess, shoot off like spores or something that cause
Like a
people to have
hallucinogen?
hallucinations. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was what the whole sequence was in that house, was a big hallucination. And yeah, even the final boss fight, I guess the doll that you're trying to kill, you're like chasing her. And you end up once you get it the third time, she's like dead on the ground. Like, okay, well, I
Yeah,
win.
because I guess maybe you're beating her into the ground. I
Yeah,
don't even know.
yeah, something
Um,
like that.
you escape and you're like, I've got her Rose's legs now.
Oh
Because
yeah, you find another piece. Yeah,
so uh, now you're feeling good about yourself. Like I've killed
right.
two very powerful, uh, prominent women now.
Yes,
I've got half
yes,
of my daughter's body. Um,
right.
um, you go back into the village. You know, you do your more exploring. You get some more weapons from the Duke. You know, but basically you're just killing time until you go to the next section,
Right.
which I believe was the reservoir.
Yes, I think
Was there
so.
anything before
Yeah,
the
that's like
reservoir? I think you have to go talk to somebody in like a red roofed house or something, or find somebody. He says something like vague, like you'll find more information in the this house on
in
the
the
edge of the
village.
village. Yeah, it's like a house on the edge of the village. I don't remember what you end up finding there. It might be like
I
another
don't
lore
remember.
dump.
Yeah,
I think it's another lore dump
yeah.
you find.
There probably is something like that. Somehow you get directed down another path to go to like the river or whatever.
Yeah,
Like because you're ticking off the lords. That you're taking them out. And the next one up is the fish man, big
yeah. And
nasty fish man.
this section was weird for me because um, I think this section, I don't know if it was my favorite because it was a good, well-designed section, or because this is really where the game really clicked with me. Like I felt
Yeah,
the progression. I knew what I was doing at this point. I felt confident, so I was
yeah,
feeling really good about myself at this point of the game. So like I think just like just being at that point in the game where I was in
yeah,
a mental state, I liked this part of the game
yeah.
design-wise. But I don't even know if it was a good section. I was kind of blinded by,
It was good.
yeah. I mean, it's just
Yeah,
normal
yeah.
going
I mean,
through
you end up going through the cave, and you encounter Moreau, Salvatore
Moreau,
Moreau, I think is his name.
and he's like
Um,
watching TV in his little like
yeah, Savile man.
dingy house thing.
Yeah, yep,
And then you
yep.
almost do you get Rose right there, or you see her at least?
I think you actually do grab her, but
Yeah,
then he traps you
yeah, with
essentially.
his
Like
like
you're able to get her, but like the other piece of her, like her arms or something.
yeah,
Then
his
yeah,
powers like he like creates like poisonous sludge
I don't
thing.
know what the heck it is, man.
Like
And then he has more. There's more to him than that too. But yeah, he's able to like barriers out of this like nasty slime
so you have
stuff.
another little escape sequence. You run out of this, and
Yeah.
um, you end up going through some puzzles, and you're trying to, I guess, lower the water on the dam.
Yes. Yes.
Um, and you do that, and then um, you end up finding out Moreau is this giant fish monster, like a
Yeah.
literal, like, like
Yeah. He's a fish
blob
monster. That's
fish.
basically.
Yeah, fish monster,
Yeah.
I guess is the way to put
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. And
Um,
I think by this point in the game, you started to read stuff about like basically these lords. Were results of like experiments with from Mother Miranda. I think you've gotten more about that
yeah,
at this point. And it's affecting these different people in different ways.
yeah,
So, and this is what has happened to him. He
yeah.
reacted to
She's
it pretty
basically
badly.
obsessed with. You get more reason into why she was, but she was like creating experiments with like these what are they called cadus we call them
Oh, it's like a
like a
parasite that she
parasite.
created.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's creating these uh, people, well,
Yeah.
regular people, and turning them and see if they get like power. She's like trying to create,
Yeah. She's
um,
basically trying to create like a vessel
yeah,
or
vessel,
something.
yeah, like a
Or
perfect
something that you don't
vessel.
know what it is at this
Um,
point.
and they all get these are the four lords. They get these like powers basically. They
Yeah.
all, um,
Yeah.
and
And other results of the experiments are all the lichen. Well,
yeah,
but they're just like failures essentially. There's nothing special
exactly.
about it.
Um,
So,
it's funny how Moreau was a special one because he was a kind of a creepy
yeah.
little weirdo. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah, you fight Fish Monster Man, and he had an interesting boss fight. You like
It's fine.
he
Yeah.
follows you around like a big figure eight,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
area, and then
It's like kind of yeah.
you blow up
You
some
can either
explosive.
blow up like the little barrels that are scattered around, or by that point I had way too much ammo. I had like the
Just
big
laying them
launchers.
down, just going.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it didn't even matter.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, I guess we
yeah,
forgot. You get the grenade launcher before this section. You go back into the village. That's what you do. You go back in the
yeah,
village, and you have to get to the red house, and there's like the big werewolf.
yeah. That's the first time you encounter like a big dude.
Yeah, the big
Yeah, like
werewolf, and
more transformed than some of the other
you
lichens
get
that you see.
the grenade launcher, and you end up killing that guy.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that what you get there?
I think so. That sounds right.
Um, yeah, it's all,
It's all
yeah,
jumbled up.
Yeah. Back to this. This whole game is like somehow taking place in like 8 hours.
Oh yeah,
It's pretty
for sure.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah. Because I mean, I spent just under 10 hours, or like just over 10 hours beating the game. So a lot goes on, lots of different things to do.
Did you go to Moreau's like cabin or like experiment cabin up there?
Experiment
Yeah,
cabin.
he has like
What do
his
you?
section, then you go like a side section back up on the top of the mountain. He has like this little like
I definitely tried to go
his
to. I
lab.
probably did.
It's his lab. You
Yeah,
get more lore
yeah,
there, and
yeah.
he
I
like
think I did.
he writes about all of his little CADU experiments. He's trying to like
Yeah.
please Mother Miranda.
Yep.
Um, yeah, weird little guy.
Weird
Um,
little guy.
and at this point, when you get rid of him, I think Heisenberg gets in contact with you on his like TV, like Moreau's TV,
Yeah. Somehow.
because he's like electromagnet man. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he tells you basically, if you come, if you can get through my test at the stronghold, you can
Yeah.
have the last piece of rose, and I won't even stop you. And you're
Yeah.
like, obviously, you don't think he's telling the truth. You think it's a trap, which you
Yeah.
should think, because it. And then you go to the stronghold, which was I completely forgot about this section, to be honest with you. It was so
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah, it was pretty quick, and it was honestly like made me think of just like an arcade shooter,
Yeah, at this
because
point,
at that
I was
point,
just blowing through stuff. I didn't even think
yeah,
about it.
yeah, yeah,
You fight like a big giant
yeah.
monster man in
Yep.
like
The
a
one you see in the
it's
beginning.
like a
It's,
butchery. No, no, no. Before this, in the butchery, like you fight the big like battle axe guy. Um,
oh, you can go off to. That's not a mandatory. Yeah,
yeah,
with like an axe or something. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can go in that. It's like some other kind of factory. That's like you're going to the stronghold, and then you can branch off
like a
to
meat
the left.
processing
And,
plant thing. I don't
yeah.
even know what the heck that is.
Yes,
Um,
you fight one of those, a big giant guy with an axe or something.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like you said, you go into the actual stronghold and you fight. Um, well, I thought it was a decently challenging boss, mainly because I used
Wasn't for me.
all of my ammo. Like I used all of it,
Yeah.
and that is the Urias,
Urias, yeah,
Urias,
something like that.
and he's the guy from the beginning
Yes.
that you encounter in the first Lycan fight. And at this point, I still think it's actually Heisenberg, because
Right.
he
Yeah.
says I
You
have
have
a
no reason not
challenge
to
for
believe.
you and I won't stop you, and I just assume that this
Never
is.
seen them in the same room together.
And they
You
use a
know.
similar hammer too. They have like the same
Exactly. They use
hammer
a very
thing.
similar weapon. Yeah.
But turns out it's not. It's just some big vampire man or werewolf
Big
man.
werewolf man. Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
and you beat him, and then you actually do get the fourth part of Rose,
Yep.
which was surprising to me.
Right.
Because you still haven't dealt with Heisenberg yet.
Yep.
So it kind of made me think maybe he's going to have more to do in the story here, other than
Yep.
just being like another one of the lords.
Right.
And you go out back to the big open, what I thought was a boss arena with the fourth part of Rose.
Right.
And
Yeah. And this whole time you've been going back and like I did it one by one.
one
It's
by
like
one.
this pedestal thing,
Yeah.
and you insert like these containers of her into these like slots, and so yeah, you have the last one.
Big ritual table, and
Yeah.
it opens up a bridge, I believe.
Yeah, like comes out of the water. It's crazy.
Yeah. It's pretty cool though. It's
Sure.
pretty cool. And that bridge, I think in the castle puzzle, the little rolly ball puzzle inside the
Yeah, the
castle,
labyrinth puzzles. I think
the
is what they
bridges
call
are
it.
there. They're like part of
Yeah.
the labyrinth puzzle,
Yeah,
which I
that's
didn't
a neat little
understand at
Easter
first,
egg there.
but that was
Right.
cool.
Right.
So at this point, you're pretty well set with ammo and weapons. I'm feeling pretty powerful
For
at
sure.
this point.
Right.
And you go to the factory, and Heisenberg basically tells you that he doesn't like being under Mother Miranda. He doesn't
Right.
like
He's upset because while I guess he has cool powers, he feels like he took like his she took like his manhood or something.
yeah,
He feels like degrade. I don't know what's the word.
emasculated.
Emasculated. Yeah, emasculated. That's what he feels like, and he's like for it. So he's trying. He's got like a coup set up. He's trying to do something.
And he doesn't like that she basically turned him into like a freak kind of like yeah. So
Yeah.
he basically offers to work with you, and you're still like at this point. I'm like, am I just a regular guy? Like, why do you want to work with me?
Yeah.
Um,
Regular guy.
a regular guy. And you tell him, no, I will not. Which
Classic.
leads to his section of the game, which is the factory. What did you think about the factory? What did you think about that?
Well, you're having that conversation with Heisenberg, and he's like, "Oh, you're going to reject my proposal." fine. And he kicks you down to like a pit, and then you meet like this
Helicopter head.
giant. You meet Helicopter Head. He's got no arm. Turboprop head, and it's like another chase sequence, and then you end up fully into the factory, and you see all this stuff going on, which basically you start to find out that Heisenberg is creating like these, cyborg soldiers.
Yeah, it's kind of creepy. He has all these different like iterations of like mechanical monsters he's making. You fight some pretty cool ones, I'd say. And then
they're all pretty basic. It's like they kind of progress through like regular guys,
drill
and then,
hands,
and like more armor with drills, even more armor with like, something else kind of weapon, and so they're pretty basic. And they do the classic like Zelda boss thing where they've got like this chess piece thing that's like glowing red. It's like okay, if I shoot that, like they're gonna die. So,
And the whole part here, you're getting these molds to make like the keys to like the different sections of the factory.
Well, basically, he kicks you down, and you end up somehow at like the very bottom level of the factory, and so now you're working your way back up. You're progressing through these floors, and I liked how like somehow the Duke is there, of course, and you basically bring him up on this elevator with you as you go up. I thought that was cool. This is another one of my favorite areas. I just thought like it was a totally different feel to the rest of the game, but it was also there was a lot of like thinking like, okay, I need to come back to this room to do this thing. Vibe there. But I had fun with that stuff.
It was fun, and then you're going through, and you're like, there's these doors with like the horse on it. Like it's like his symbol, and you want to get this key. Eventually, I think you get the key, and then the lights go out on you again.
I think the mold, and you're like, okay, I know I have this mold now, so I'm gonna have to go back to this machine that makes these molds.
You've been to this machine multiple times throughout the last couple of hours, and you finally get the final one you think you need, and the lights go out, and you got to work your way back here in the dark, fighting all the monsters you've been fighting, all Mr. Drill Hands, and
of course, it is the classic thing where it's like it doesn't turn off the lights in the entire, but just like that you have to go back through. It's like, okay, now the lights are off. So
then you get your key, you work your way back up, and then you get another, I guess it's a boss fight with a turboprop man.
You get to actually deal with him now.
You're basically avoiding him and then shooting him in the back.
Well, and it was pretty funny the way it introduces him again, because it's like these tight corridors, and he like busts out, and you're like, okay, I don't have anywhere to go, but he starts taking walls out. And he basically creates this like arena because he's taking out. I was like, okay, like he really doesn't know what he's doing.
How did you kill that guy? I put mines everywhere. He ran through mines, and I was shooting.
Keep in mind, I was on casual mode. So this was like a walk in the park. I mean, he would go past me, and I would just have my most powerful shotgun out and blow him away. It didn't take that long. Same with Urias. I was gonna say, you said that was a pretty challenging boss fight because you were basically out of ammo. I had the Magnum. I think I shot him twice, and it killed him.
Oh my god! So I went through like all my ammo. I was like trying to like just run away and like knife the lichens for ammo and stuff. It was But it was that was the most stressful part.
I did not have that problem, and that's why I had a lot of fun because ammo was never a problem for me at any point. So.
And then you get you think you escaped the factory. I don't know what you think.
Or you're in like you've made your way up to the top basically.
The top, and you're like, and then Heisenberg's there again. Of course, he didn't leave. And he tells you that he's like, I told you weren't gonna, but you're either gonna side with me or you're not. And he kicks you down once again. You fall like
even farther down, I think, this time.
An unreasonable distance. There's no way this factory was that tall.
And then there's like a river down there or something. You like fall in the water. And then it was you basically end up in like the scrap heap of the factory.
And then you enter like a little cutscene, and then who's there but Chris Redfield,
which we didn't mention the Chris Redfield scene with Moreau in the river. You get a little lore dump from him there.
Oh yeah, and then you like think because then Moreau busts the building apart, and you don't know what happens to him. He's just gone.
Right, you don't know what happens to Chris, but Chris was giving you some lore at that point, saying like I think I don't remember where he basically hints that it's like Ethan, dude, this is not what you think it is.
Kill
Mia.
you're still mad at him for killing Mia. But
yeah.
there, you can see in the village there's signs of the Chris Redfield and Co. here,
Right.
like in that
There's
church.
like you'll go like you go into the come back and then in the church there's like computers set up
Like
and
an
stuff.
open laptop. We
Yeah,
are
like an
the
open laptop.
alpha team is over here. It's like,
Yeah.
okay,
It's like, why'd you guys leave this here?
why'd you
How many computers do you
why'd you
have? Did you
go
find
alpha
more
team?
later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you meet Chris, and this is when you get like the big lore dump.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to explain to you everything.
Yeah.
And then you find out that when he showed up in the beginning of the game and lit up Mia, that was actually Mother Miranda.
Yeah.
Pretending to be Mia.
She could like shapeshift. It was like
Basically her motivation is she wants Rose for some reason.
Yes.
Rose is powerful, and she wants to use Rose for something you don't quite know yet why, but you can presume that something with Rose and then these vessels she's tried to make and all of her lords, something's going on there.
Yeah.
He kind of gives you a brief description of that, and you're like, well, I still want to get my revenge, and he's like, no, you can't do that, and you're like, yes, I can.
No, you can't do that.
And he's like, well, all right, I've got the thing for you, and he's like, here's a tank. And
here's a tank with chainsaw arms and machine guns. And I built it.
They're very well. It's one of Heisenberg's experiments. And he's very clear to tell you because Heisenberg can like basically Magneto metal, and he's like, this is a
polymer.
A polymer. He can't control this. Like why? Like why does he have this?
He can't. He didn't learn how to control.
He doesn't.
Don't worry about it.
He made it. Don't worry about it. It's a video game.
Yeah, and he made it. Why would you make something that you like?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah. So this is a fun boss fight. So it is.
Yeah. Well, you didn't mention how like we encounter Heisenberg again. And he knocks you all the way back down. But when he knocks you back down, he started to like coalesce into this like metal monster.
Oh yeah. He turns into
Yeah.
So
then you get this tank, and you ride up an elevator.
And you deal with said metal monster.
Deal with said metal monster, and it was fun.
You're in a field shooting a tank.
Yes.
You're blocking with a chainsaw, and then you're shooting a tank at him, and then he like destroys the tank. He launches you back in the air. You fall back to the ground. Now you're on foot, and you're sniping.
Yeah,
you're sniping
crazy
them.
stuff, man. And then I think somehow you get the tank back, and for
you
the walkers, this is a crazy ass section. So.
And then you're in the tank in the air, and you like snipe him in the air with the tank and like blow him up.
It was ridiculous.
And then he's like, "No, I can't die here." And you're like, "Okay, well,
but you're dying here."
You're dying.
And then so Heisenberg can be checked off the list now.
Yeah, and then you find what is the main bad person of the game. You've known it the whole time. You have like no interaction with her, and that's Mother Miranda.
Yeah. Well, she like appears in front of you.
She appears
after you
in front of
Heisenberg.
you. Yeah. And she's messing with you. She's shape shifting into Mia. She's talking smack.
Messing with your mind. Yeah.
And then she kills you, presumably.
Yep. That's what it looks like.
She kills you. You're like laying there dead on the ground.
Yep.
And you still
Yeah, because then the cutscene changes because obviously she's killed you. So it like you can I think it shows like a side profile or like his from head down. It shows Ethan on the ground and
laying in the dirt.
And it's like a separate cutscene now of like just Mother Miranda. She's like doing her evil villain monologue. Yeah. And she goes away. So.
I have won.
Yes.
And then you change. This is a cool section. I like this part. It was like it's like now you're gonna play Call of Duty.
Yes, exactly.
You turn into Chris Redfield, and he's giving you like a Black Ops-esque like mission. Like,
oh yeah.
We gotta go in there and get the thing and kill the bad guy. And you're like, okay. And then you get off, and
here's
you're like
a machine gun.
You have like a machine gun with like basically unlimited ammo.
Yeah, you find so much ammo throughout that little sequence.
Oh, it's so goofy. Hey, boss, we dropped another ammo crate of 7,000. Like, okay.
You have like the Dragoon, I think is what it's called, like machine gun.
Yeah.
And then like a pistol and some grenades
and like this crazy knife.
Yeah.
And you have like a laser sight to call in like air support.
Airstrikes. Yeah.
So all these Lycans that you've been like, I wouldn't say struggling to kill, but you've got to like put. You just mow them all down now. You're just playing.
No thought into
it's just literally Call of Duty at this point.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
he's trying to get to the like the source of the mold, basically.
Yeah, so we haven't touched on that very much. Basically, from the first game, or not first game, from the last game, from Resident Evil 7,
Yeah,
there's this mold infection going on, and basically in Village, you figure out that like it's like the source of it, right?
yeah.
Like they find like,
This is where it
the mother
was.
lode of the mold, and so yeah, you're trying to I guess go back through the village and deal with that, and obviously deal with Mother Miranda. And now as Chris Redfield, who is way too overpowered.
Yeah, he's trying to like avenge Ethan almost too, and he,
Yeah,
he's getting down. Did you find? I guess you did, I'm sure. But you
yeah.
found this mold section as Ethan earlier in the game, right? It's like a hidden area.
Oh yeah, like the underground section. 'Cause it was one of the
Yeah,
top setup and stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I found that. Yeah,
yeah. I found it. And I was like, okay, I have to do something here. Like, but nothing really happens. But it's because you come back to it later. Um,
right, right.
but yeah, you find this mold, and you're like, he wants to destroy the source with like a detonator. But first, you have to fight like old King Mold Man.
Yeah,
Um,
it's super Urias.
I didn't
Like it's like
understand who that guy
yeah.
was.
I don't know if it was the same character that we fought before, but it was like a souped up version of him. I don't know, but he had like
He had
a
like a
weak spot on his
mace,
back,
like a
and
mace with like a big old
yeah, it was
moldy mace,
huge with a spiked ball on the end. Yeah,
and you call in
you
like
yeah,
your
airstrike.
airstrike and stuff. Which Chris Redfield apparently is just like, call an airstrike over there, I'll be fine.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I'll be good. Are you sure you're not too close?
no, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good, good. Yeah,
And after that, you find the source of the mold. It's like
yeah.
I don't even know what it is.
It's like this big, but I think it's
Blob,
also it's like the mold. It's like the metamucite or something
metamucite.
weird. It has
Yeah,
a weird name.
yeah,
I don't know if it's the mold or if it's that parasite thing that she created or both. Like it's really confusing. But yeah, he puts a detonator. Or he has a
yeah, yeah.
and then yeah
And then
proceeds
and they're like,
onward.
"Come here for evac," and he's like, "No, I've got a
Oh.
score to settle." And so it's like, okay.
Yeah,
So you find like Mother Miranda's lab, which this was cool.
yeah, yeah,
If this is basically like we're gonna just tell you everything at this point.
yeah,
So there's all these books around you can read about it, and Mother Miranda has a book on each of her like the lords and like how they came to be and
right,
what they were like,
right,
and she basically
right.
calls them all failures.
Yep.
And you learn that the like founder of the Umbrella Corp like
Like
came,
spent some time with her.
yeah,
Yeah,
spent some time with her, and that's where we get the inspiration of the logo for Umbrella Corp because
right,
the Four Houses logo
right.
um, that supposedly originated here. And you find out that basically Mother Miranda, she lost her daughter to the Spanish flu in like
Yes.
the 1800s or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's early 1900s.
Yeah, whenever that happened.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and then she basically what happens is she's in this village or what was the village at the time.
yeah.
And she like goes into a cave to basically like kill herself.
Is that what she does?
Yeah, or she's
Huh.
going to, and she finds
Yeah.
like the metamucite,
Right.
and she like gains like powers beyond recognition or something,
Yeah. Yeah.
And then her motivation is now that she has these powers, she uses the metamucite and these parasites to try to create a vessel
Yeah.
to then like rebirth her daughter.
Somehow, which I don't know if she has like some DNA from her daughter reserved, and she's gonna like
Yeah,
make her like
but then
recreate
you
her.
connect the dots and you realize that Rose, whatever Rose is, she's special in some way.
Yeah.
She's the vessel Mother Miranda wants, and
Yeah.
I don't 100% understand why she had to split her into 4 parts.
Couldn't tell you. I
But
have no idea.
apparently that's part of the ritual. She needs to put her in
Yeah.
these.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna just assume that's
Just
Rose is
video game
special.
stuff.
Yeah, video game
Just
reasons.
accept it. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, Mother Miranda's motivation. You know what all the lords are. You know why Rose is important. And then you find the real Mia Winters in like a dungeon cage.
Yeah. She's like in this lab, like off to the side. There's like a little prison cell, and
Yeah.
she's just chilling in there.
And Chris Redfield is a smart thing. He asks his guys, "Hey, where's Mother Miranda at?" Because he's
Yeah.
like doesn't trust that it's actually Mia.
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
find out it is. And
It is her.
he
Yeah.
tells her, "We got to get out of here. Ethan's gone." And she goes, "But Ethan's more special than you think." And then like the very cheesy like,
Yes.
and then you
Yeah.
go back to the Ethan's perspective, and he's like in some sort of purgatory,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and you like I don't know. You learned that. I don't. Who is that child that was talking to him?
So that's Evelyn. So I know this is fresh
Evelyn
in my
from Resident Evil
from
7?
Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
It's like this little girl that was basically created in a similar fashion with this mold. Like she's like this child that has like special powers.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was like probably the main villain or whatever of Resident Evil 7.
And she basically
Yeah.
tells you that the baker, uh, the dad,
Yeah.
he
Yes.
killed Ethan.
Yeah,
and
I
then-
think he there's one the first punches you.
Yeah.
Well, he was actually dead there. It turns
Yeah,
out.
because you were a regular guy, and he punches you, and then
Yeah.
you're dead and not a regular guy.
Yeah.
And you're like all mold. You're like a superhero,
Yeah.
basically. And
Yeah,
that's,
Evelyn has basically in this purgatory thing that Ethan's now in. It's revealed to him that he's been like this monster, like I guess similar to maybe Mia in a sense, like.
yeah.
But that's what he has been. She like turned him into that, like saved his life or whatever.
Yeah.
So
And that's why you can survive all these crazy falls, and it's why you
Yeah.
lose your hand, you pour alcohol, and
Yeah.
it comes back, and
yeah,
so it's like, okay, so I'm a superhero now.
right, yeah. But it's also like the continued like damage that he's taken is like, it's taking a toll
It's
on
getting
him.
to
He
him,
can't just do
yeah.
it forever. Yeah, it's starting to get to him. Yeah.
So then you're Ethan again, and you wake up. I believe you wake up in the Duke's like cart,
In his carriage.
and
yeah.
then you ask him, "What even are you?" And he's like,
Yeah,
"Ooh, that's a story for another time." Like, so like, maybe
yeah, it's just totally like non-committal. Like he just says like, I don't even think I know what I am.
Yeah, yeah. Then maybe you'll get some DLC on the Duke, but then
Yeah,
it's
who
kind of cool.
knows?
You get opened up, and you're actually it's his cart, like that he's been in the whole
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
And then basically you're gearing up for like what is like the last boss fight now.
Oh, yeah, it does the classic like you better get what you need. You may not be able to come back.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have a very scary thing. You walk up the stairs. You have this big mold thing you have to walk into, and you finally get to fight Mother Miranda,
Yeah.
which is
She's like at the ceremony site, and yeah, it's this whole big thing that she's created, a bunch of mold
Yeah,
nastiness.
you get to fight like this total like action movie boss fight monster
Oh, yeah.
thing. She's
Oh yeah.
I don't even know what she is. She's like a demon. Flying. She flies. She shoots stuff out of the ground. She's all over the place. But you're just like shooting with a shotgun, and it's fine.
Right, and it was pretty straightforward. The boss fight, there's some big area attacks, and some little puzzly elements changes the arena a bit,
Yep.
and navigate and find her and shoot her. It's pretty basic.
Yeah. Well, that was
Pretty
fun
basic
though.
fight.
I died.
Oh, yeah, it was fun.
I think this is the one combat related thing I died to in the game.
Yeah.
I died one time because I was playing so confident like I couldn't die, and of course I died. But you kill her, and then Rose is like inside of her.
Yeah.
So you get Rose, and you're like, okay, now I gotta get out of here. And then Chris Redfield's there, and he's like, we gotta blow this thing up. And you're like,
Yeah.
no, I'll blow this thing up.
Well, and you can see it's showing like you start looking at Ethan starts looking at
He's
and he's like
dying.
crumbling. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's dying. He's gone.
Now, I
he's
wonder,
gone.
does that have anything to do with the fact that Mother Miranda died? Maybe there's some sort of connection there with the,
Oh, I have no idea.
the
That's a good.
metamucite and the mold and all that.
But I think maybe, but I think he was going downhill fast. Like even
Yeah.
when he came out of that purgatory, like that was the whole thing. Like
Yeah.
I think they say something about like you can't do this forever. You can't keep dying or taking this like fatal damage.
Yeah,
Your body can only take so much.
yeah. So then you basically
Yeah.
give Chris Redfield Rose, tell him hasta luego,
Yeah.
and then you take his detonator from him.
Yes.
They fly away.
Because remember, flashback to when Chris was in like the cave or whatever, and he found like put the detonator or the bomb on it, and so you have the detonator now. And this big dramatic thing. You walk really, really slowly back up the stairs, and
Of course.
boom, they're flying away on a plane.
Very cinematic. Very total hero
cinematic.
moment for Ethan.
Total.
Never
hero
got
moment.
to see his face.
Nope.
It's very
Except
good.
for the stuff that they've released. I guess the art,
Yeah.
the concept art and stuff.
I think it's funny
Yeah.
how hard they go not showing his face. Like they
Oh, yeah.
hug, and he's like his face is away, and like if you try to look in a mirror, it's like broken or like
Oh yeah.
there's all sorts of like they
Yep.
just like dangle the carrot in front of you the whole
Which
time.
what Chris looks like. Why is it like?
I don't. I think it
it's
has something to do with it being first person. They like wanted. I don't know if it was like a joke or what.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned this, or I mentioned, sorry, but if you like break, if you use like developer mode to go into like outside of the
Yes.
perspective,
Yeah.
Ethan's character model has no head. He's a
That makes
body.
sense.
He's a headless body in the
Yeah.
game, and
That's hilarious.
yeah, it's very goofy. They go even that far where you can't see what his head looks like.
Yeah.
Um,
That's pretty funny.
yeah. So that's the end of the game, and then you
Yeah.
get a cutscene with Rose in the future at Ethan's grave, and she's
Yeah. Well, one thing we didn't mention, there's like this other group that shows up when you start the Chris
the
Redfield sequence.
BHSA or the
It,
BSA,
something like that. It's something from a reference from a
BSAA,
past
yeah,
BSAA.
yeah,
It's and I looked it up. It's like this other government organization or
yeah,
something that, but I think they've like fallen into disrepute. Is that the right word?
yeah,
And they're not trusted.
yeah.
But yeah, so they're there for some reason, and Chris is like, "Why are they there?" And in
Uh,
this final cutscene where they're flying away in the plane, he's like, "Go to BSAA headquarters." Like, okay,
yeah, I think that's them trying to just like link together all. I mean, like I said, I haven't played a
yes,
whole lot of Resident Evil games, but I
yeah,
know there's like all the lore is like it's one world, like it's
it
all.
is. Yes,
So I think it's just them trying to make connections.
right, right. Well, and I'm sure it'll be relevant. Like, I wonder if the next game we'll see Chris Redfield again as your main like
Yeah,
protagonist, like that's who you use. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and then you have your time skip ending thing, and then
yeah, it must
apparently,
be like 15, 20
yeah,
years
and
or
Rose
something
is
in the future.
I don't know what her powers are, but she's being in some way looked after and maybe trained to some extent
Right,
by
right,
Chris.
right.
Um, and then she I don't know I don't know what to think of it. I don't know if the next game's gonna
Yeah,
star her, or
right. Yeah,
is it
she's visiting Ethan's grave, her
yeah, and
dad's grave,
it'd be pretty
and she
it'd be
gets like picked up by this dude in a suit, and I
yeah.
guess presumably the same organization that Chris is a part of. Yeah,
And did you
it's
think
very vague.
that ending scene was really awkward? It looked like it was like some guy was walking towards the car for like a long
There
time,
was, yes,
and then like
and
nothing came of that.
I've seen it. Well, I've seen a video since then where they went into like developer mode or whatever. That's Ethan. It's Ethan, his character model, and it has like
Really,
actually has a face. Yeah.
really, huh?
Yes.
I didn't know what that was
That's who.
supposed to signify. I was sitting there
Yeah.
like,
I
who's
don't
that?
know if it's. Yeah, I don't know if it's just kind of some
An Easter
symbolic
egg?
thing. Yeah, or Easter egg, or if like there's something weird going on with. I have no idea, but that was apparently Ethan in the distance. You could see the car driving away, and then that shadow, that figure was yeah, supposedly Ethan.
Oh, I did not know that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, that's the end of the game.
It
And
is.
then
We
you
went
get
through
a
everything.
you get your like good job. Here's all the challenges you did.
Yep. You get a
And
rating, I think.
your
Like,
rating, and they want you to like
yeah.
basically they want you to play New Game Plus,
Yeah.
which is fun. I've started a New Game Plus run. I'll eventually get back and beat it, but you get all your weapons. You can purchase new weapons. You can get unlimited ammo cheats.
Yep. Yep.
All
They
sorts of cool
want you to
stuff.
do that kind of stuff too,
They
so it's
really want
cool.
you to. And you get a list of all the cool weapons you can buy and
Yep.
like unlock.
You can get the I think it's called the Dragoon,
Dragoon.
which is Chris's like
Yep.
machine gun, his assault rifle. So that's cool. And yeah, there's like a bunch of there's some
This
hand
the
like combat
stake.
stuff.
It's
The
like the I don't,
stake, yeah,
it's like a super strong revolver.
right,
Um, the coolest weapon though, the one that I'll never get, is like a lightsaber, like a literal
yeah,
lightsaber. I don't even know how they
yeah,
got away with this. Um,
yeah,
but you have to get like double S on every level of
the
the
mercenaries mode.
mercenaries mode, which I don't think I'll ever do. Mercenaries is fun. I played it for a few hours. You can see that's what the gameplay's been this whole time.
Yeah,
It's fun, but I don't know if the gameplay of this Resident Evil, while it's fun in the context of the story and searching around and character progression, it's not the most fluid for just literally playing like an arcade
yeah,
first-person shooter. It's not
yeah,
like this is something that feels like Call of Duty. Maybe I would do this,
yeah.
but it's a little too clunky and slow to be for me to have fun doing this without a story
Right,
motivation.
right,
Um,
right.
but I
Yeah, I
played through.
haven't gone back to play the mercenaries mode.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
fun. I mean, I played through the first 3 levels. You go through different set pieces through the game.
yeah, yeah,
You buy a weapon. I always bought the shotgun, and just
right,
ran around the shotgun. That was probably the most fun thing. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, it really wants you to play the game again. I'm sure eventually I will, whether it's like a DLC or something will draw me back to it eventually.
Right. Yeah, and I guess I had the idea, the very brief idea, that I would play it again, like probably immediately after I played it the first time, because I did play it in casual mode and I could get more out. Played it a little bit harder difficulty, and using the cheats and stuff. It would be, but I'm getting drawn into other things now. So
A lot of stuff going on right now.
yeah, big week coming up, with E3 about to happen.
Yeah.
Other games coming out. So, but I do think I paid $60 for the game. Weird, I got this weird thing. Equate 1 hour played per every dollar spent. I feel like that's a good purchase.
Yeah.
So I'll probably never get to that.
No.
I think I would like to play it again.
Yeah, I think I'll play it again eventually. I mean, it's a really pretty game. It was a fun game. Maybe if I forget how the story, it'll be more fun to go back through it again. Maybe in lead up to Resident Evil 9, it'd be fun to replay it again.
Sure. For sure. Yeah.
But yeah, that's basically, I mean, all I have to say about it.
Yeah, me too.
It was a fun game. I think it did get me into the series. I have looked up some of the lore of the connected other games.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
I get a lot of people say that RE4 is a similar game to this. There's a lot of RE4 inspiration.
That's what I've heard.
And I've always wanted to play that game. I've heard it's really good. But I can't quite bring myself to play it. But that's like the rumored next remake now.
Especially with the remake rumors on the horizon.
If that's the case, I will definitely be playing that. And I think I'll play RE9 when RE9 comes out.
I wonder what kind of goofy name they're going to come up with that interweaves the Roman numerals.
Well, I don't know. It has to be 1X now, right?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't know how they're going to do that.
I wonder how much thought they may just abandon it in time.
Yeah.
So we've done this.
They really lucked out with the V and the I. Look, the last few games.
Yep. Now they have to totally change it. Yeah.
Yeah. So. Any other thoughts on old Resident Evil Village?
Well, we didn't mention any of the side areas and stuff. Well, we mentioned there were some side puzzles that were really funny. You basically had to set a dude on fire to light a thing, and then it opened the door. But on that note, a lot of these, like the side exploration you did, there was occasionally you'd go get another weapon. You'd just go get like an artifact that could be sold.
Yep.
And I wish that some of the exploration and the little hidden treasures that you find, worth more than just
it was
money.
Cool because you found it, but it really didn't affect the game that much.
It just gave you more resources to upgrade stuff.
Yeah,
but
I already felt like I had enough of that.
Like me, I didn't. I had plenty.
Yeah, I did like the overall exploration though. In general, I loved going back and forth in the village, finding stuff. Checking off, turning all the rooms blue.
Yep.
It was a lot of fun finding the special animals. The white pig and the fish and the blue bird.
I didn't find any of those, but yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you for watching our first spoiler cast. I think we're going to keep doing these. Our plan going forward is to do them, now that we know we're going to do this, we're going to do a more immediate.
Right, pretty soon after we finish these games.
I think we both played this game when it came out, which is weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, who knows?
Yeah, probably close to a month ago, yeah.
Yeah, we're going to try to beat them or do these more immediate when it's fresh on our mind, to get a little more, close-up reactions stuff.
Yeah.
And the games coming out we're thinking about doing it for is a Final Fantasy VII Intergrade, and that would just be the whole remake in general. And we'll probably throw some stuff with the original game in there too.
I would. I think that conversation will be meaningful with the context of the original.
Yeah.
I feel like that just elevates the game that much more. It's a really good game on its knowing about the original helps.
That'll be a fun conversation. That'll be a lot to talk about there.
I'll have to take some serious notes.
Yeah, for sure. And then Ratchet and Clank, that'll be another fun one. I love Ratchet and Clank. That's coming out. Well, they're coming out one day after another.
Yes,
next week.
It's June 10th for I'm mixing up Resident Evil and Final Fantasy 10th for DLC and the PS5 upgrade, and then June 11th for Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart.
Yeah, pretty excited. A lot of games coming out. We're getting to that point of the year where it'll just be games
snowballing.
You can't stop now. Just get new game.
I'm here for it, man.
who knows what E3 has to hold.
Yep.
We'll do I think we'll do an E3 predictions video this next week.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun.
Yeah, me too.
But other than that, thanks for watching. I appreciate it. This was a fun conversation. Thanks for joining me to talk about what is currently my game of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be dethroned, though. So.
It's going to be dethroned.
No offense to the game, but
yeah, it was a good first half of the year game.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, with that, I guess I will catch y'all later and see y'all next time.
See ya.
Ahoy and welcome to the first Dailey-Lumber spoiler video.
Spoilercast.
Spoilercast
I like
sounds
that.
good.
Yep.
Today we're going to be... oh, God damn it. I didn't even have the background footage going.
Okay, restart.
We'll throw that at the end of the podcast.